Good morning, everyone. Before I do an introduction on myself, I'd like to present an award to the club. Don't go nowhere. Don't get comfortable. Come stand up here. The ARRL Board of Directors honors the Peekskill Cortlandt Amateur Radio Association W2 NYW for ARRL affiliation of July 20th, 2020. So this is the 25th year of an affiliated club for the for you guys. It's signed Ed Wilson, N2XDD, the division director, that's me, and David Galletley, KM2O, who's my vice director. So on behalf of myself and the ARRL Board of Directors, we're going to present you with this plaque for 25 years of affiliation. So thank you very much. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I'm Ed Wilson. I'm N2XDD. I am the Hudson division director. I cover the area of New York City, Long Island. I cover Eastern New York up into somewhere around Lake George and Northern New Jersey. It's an elected position, which I've been in for the last year or so. Previously served as the vice director for about a year as well. And I'm here to support you. I'm here to support the club. Thank you for having me out here this morning. It's my pleasure to be here. I live about, 75 miles or so down on Long Island, about an hour east of the city. So it was a nice ride out here this morning. Took me about 2 hours to get here, but my pleasure to be here. Great to see the turnout. Great to see the support for the club. Great to see the ladies in the room. This is the second largest amount of women in a club meeting that I've been in the last 3 years. So we're about one short of beating the record that I was in. I'm the vice president of my radio club out in Suffolk County Radio Club. We're the oldest club on Long Island. We've been around a little bit longer than you guys, but you'll catch up to us eventually. We're at 78 years. Wow. So, yeah, we've been doing it for a while. Had a lot of ups and downs in the club. I joined the club about 9 years ago, and it was in really bad shape. We had about 20 members. We had about 12 active members. The club was ready to dissolve itself. And I was a newly active ham. I've been licensed, this month is 32 years. So I left the hobby for a little bit. I started a career in the mid-90s. About 8 or 9 years ago, I got back into amateur radio, kept my license active the entire time. And what did I do? I went to the local club and showed up, and I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed in the turnout of the club. There was about 6 people there, and 6 older gentlemen, and they were just doing nothing but complaining the entire meeting. The only reason they introduced themselves to me is because I happened to know the club president, who happened to be my mechanic. But they weren't very friendly. They weren't very welcoming. They were kind of cranky. So, but I took that as, hey, I can help out here. I got youth on my side compared to these guys. This club has a lot of history and it's failing. So I decided I wanted to help the club out. And that's what I did. I stepped up right away and I volunteered. They knew that they needed help. And a lot of clubs that need help, they won't admit that they need help. So I started doing activities with the club because I asked the club president, I said, Richie, what are you guys doing for fun? He's like, oh, well, we have coffee and donuts at our meetings. And, we talk about the $700 that we have in the budget and how we're going to spend it. And they never wanted to spend their money. They never wanted to do anything. They were barely keeping their heads above water. So I came in and I said, hey, let's do something really cool. Let's build direction finding antennas. I heard you guys said you can have a fox hunt coming up in a couple of weeks. So I went onto the internet and I got a plan for building a direction finding antenna with PVC pipe and elements from tape measures. At the time, Harbor Freight had coupons for free tape measures. So I would find all the coupons I can and I would go in and get as many tape measures as I could. So we created a session where we were going to get together. We would build these fox hunting antennas. And as I was the new guy in the club, I led the build. There was a lot of people who actually wound up showing up to the build because the club was now doing something. We built the antennas and it was like Christmas morning. A lot of the old time hams haven't built something in a long time. the first thing they did, they went out and they hit the repeater from our location. And the repeater was coming in crystal clear. And they were very surprised about that because previously they weren't able to hit the repeater from where we were meeting. So they were excited. I said, well, what are we going to do next? I said, well, we're going to go out into the woods and I'm going to go hide something. And we're going to go find it with the radio. So I wound up having to, as a newer ham, I left the hobby for 18 years at that point. I had to jump back in and I had to remember how to do direction finding. So I wound up leading a direction finding activity with the group. I think about 8 people showed up. The youngest one was probably about 70 years old. And I said, oh, I messed up. I probably shouldn't have came to the woods because Bob brought his walker with him. So I wound up hiding the fox, and they had a great time. I felt like I was a Boy Scout leader leading a bunch of older gentlemen into fox hunting. And from there, it just snowballed. The club just started getting bigger and bigger. As of last count, 147 members in the last 8 years since I joined the club. We had a really big growth spurt in the last 6 months or so, probably since maybe the beginning of the year, large growth spurt. Our meeting this past Monday, we had 9 females in attendance. Why such a difference? Activity, acceptance of people, kindness, acknowledgement. I've traveled around to many clubs, walk into the room, and as the new person in the room, I felt a little weird because nobody even said hello. So kind of strange. And that might be a regional thing, I'm not sure. Down city folk, we're a little cranky sometimes. But no. 145.210 with a 162.2 PL. We're going to talk about the PL tone later. If I don't mention that, remind me to bring up our PL tone. Larkfield is like in the Huntington area. We're based further out east. Our club headquarters is somewhere around the Yaphank area, exit 68 off the Long Island Expressway. So our club's grown a lot since the beginning of the year. We've got a lot of younger members coming in. We seem to be filling that 30 to 55-year-old group of hams that are missing from most clubs. And a lot of it is, I've seen things that work in other clubs, and I'm bringing it back to our club. I get the privilege of coming around and visiting clubs throughout the area. I drove well over 1,000 miles last field day, not this past one, the one before, visiting clubs. It was a nonstop drive for field day weekend. I didn't really get to enjoy it. I was on a time constraint. I had Nicole here, who's one of my assistant directors, keeping me on track, keeping me moving. Got to shake a lot of hands and meet a lot of great people, especially up here in Eastern New York. So you guys are doing a great job up here. Thank you for the club. I love the turnout here. So you guys are doing something right. I like seeing this. Going back to my club and what I'm doing at my club, and I'm trying to spread throughout the division. Being the director, I get to come out and I get to meet other clubs and tell them what we're working with and what we're doing that's positive and what helped grow our club. And if there's anything that I've talked about today that hits with the club or anything I can help and share my ideas, I'm more than welcome to do that. My information is readily available. If you don't know how to get it, see me after the meeting. I'll share it with you. But some of the things that we've done that really grew the club is we grew a relationship with our library. And I see you guys having a meeting here in the library, which is an amazing thing. April of last year, there was an eclipse. And our local library was holding an eclipse viewing party. So I said, this is a great opportunity for us to go out into the community, excuse me, and visit the community and demonstrate what amateur radio is all about. So what I did was I selected a team that I thought would be a well-represented group of amateur radio and of our club. And I gathered them together and I asked if they'd like to go out there and they would like to demonstrate amateur radio. And it was tough. It was tough having to handpick who was going to represent not only our club, but to represent amateur radio. So when most people think of amateur radio, they think of a lot of older people, a lot of gray-haired people, a lot of non-social people. And that's not necessarily the case. Amateur radio is growing leaps and bounds within that 30 to 55-year-old group. So we just really need to figure out how we leverage that group that's increasing and bring them into the fold, bring them into amateur radio. So one of the things I was doing was I'm empowering those people. New people are coming into the club, giving them a little bit more encouragement to help out. Because I've seen a lot of the downfalls in clubs over the years was we have the same president that's been in term for a very long time. I'm not sure. How long are you in term?
Since beginning.
Yeah, 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
God bless you.
Thank you.
He needs help. He needs help. There's no reason why he should be here for 25 years, and I'm sure you're doing a great job.
It's just the way we.
Yeah, but it's kind of tiring, I'm sure. So one of the things we're doing is we're encouraging the new people that are coming out, and we're listening to them. We're listening to their voice. I asked them, what do you want to see in a club? What do you want to do in amateur radio? We're going to do that. We're going to help you grow within your amateur radio journey, because it's a journey. Jay, you've been licensed how long?
What was your name again?
How long have you been licensed, sir?
66.
66 years. He's seen a lot of things in that 66 years. Are you the oldest licensed ham in the room?
You beat me by 3. Okay.
He's not as smart either.
All right. So
63 years.
So we got a couple gentlemen that have been licensed well before I was alive. So congratulations and thank you for keeping the hobby alive. But we need to go out there and we need to see what is of interest to the younger folks and bring them in. So going back to our library situation, yes, ma'am.
It's not a hobby. I'm a ham too, my own right. It's an obsession.
It is an obsession. It is definitely an obsession. So going back to the library, we had a table set up at the library, and we weren't operating radios. We were more of a public relations type of group. We had our radio booth to the back of our tent, and we were all standing in front of it. And we weren't standing there. It wasn't about making contacts. Although we did have one person making contacts off to the side because we were contributing our data to the Hamside group who was studying the effects of RF and the eclipse. But as far as the public relations part of it, we were there talking to the public about radio. And we drew 5 new hams from that event. 5 people that were interested in radio and said they didn't know how to get a start. And they also told me that they saw other local clubs in various events that weren't very welcoming because they tried to talk to them and all they saw was the backs of the people because the clubs were worrying about making contacts on the radio. So as amateur radio operators, the hobby of communications, the obsession of communication, as a whole, we're really bad communicators. We really are. We don't know how to communicate in person. We don't know how to address the public. We don't know how to introduce them to our hobby and being welcoming. We have a lot of people that just will talk overly technical to people, and it's very, very difficult for the public to grasp onto that. And one of the other complaints I've heard was appearance. We have a lot of ham radio operators in other clubs that I visited that don't have a very welcoming appearance to themselves. You know, as ham radio operators, a lot of us have the stigma of being hidden in the basement, not really seeing too much sunlight. And then when we come out to a ham fest, you can kind of smell our counterparts because hygiene's kind of pushed to the side. So what we did, we said, hey, let's get a nice looking collared shirt, our club logo. And if we're going to represent amateur radio, we're going to represent the club, we're going to wear this nice polo shirt. A little bit of a cost. It costs us $25 a shirt. But we kind of look squared away. And Nicole here, 82IM, she's our club secretary and she's one of my assistant directors. I kind of wrangled her into this hobby. I brought her into the hobby about 3 years ago. She finally broke down and studied and took her test. And she quickly got very involved in amateur radio, not only within our club, but within the ARRL and our division. And Nicole's one of the representatives of our club that comes out to the functions with us. And poor Nicole gets bombarded with requests from Scout moms, from Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. Hey, you're a ham radio operator. You don't look like the rest of them. How can we get you to come down and run our merit badge session? So, times have changed. Times has changed with amateur radio. No longer is the day where you can go into the local ham's basement and he's going to mentor you, because parents just won't allow that, because times have changed. So that's where the importance of a strong club comes in.
Back in our day, in high school, there were clubs, junior high. We all did that, chemistry and trainings.
Absolutely.
There was no internet or other draws. And amateur radio, I started AM monitoring, medium wave DX, short wave from Stanford. Radio Shack had the helicopter, and then got into building.
Yeah, and we've lost that throughout the years. Are you Jasper by chance? Awesome. I guessed that. I was a detective for 23 years, and I guess my detective skills still work.
Yeah.
Are you a member here?
Yes.
Awesome. So everybody knows Jasper?
No.
Can I let Jasper introduce himself?
Hi, everybody, again. There's some of you familiar, some of you not. I'm Jasper. I work in the Lakeland School District, and Lou here has been instrumental in encouraging and guiding me along for making a ham club at the high school. So we're getting there. Nice
Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
How's the rig doing?
Really good.
The one
Yeah, tested it out already, and next Wednesday is our first day. So I get to.
Great.
One of the reasons I'm here is to say thank you for that.
Thank you for the card, too.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So, stay tuned for more information. But I didn't want to, interrupt. So thank you for mentioning that. But this club is really, really, really encouraging for new hams.
That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that.
So this is awesome.
So thank you very much. Jasper is a graduate of the ARRL Teachers Institute for Wireless Technology.
David is.
I saw David too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Hi, David.
Hi.
Where are you from?
From not far.
Awesome. Good to meet you, David.
I also teach at Sleepy Hollow High School down in Tarrytown.
So that's great. Yeah, we need to talk afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So the ARRL Teachers Institute of Wireless Technology is helping out where the old ham club that used to exist, where the local hams would come into the high school. We just can't have that anymore. Times have changed. So the ARRL has been leveraging teachers to come out to a fully donor-funded program. 4 days?
Yep, 4 days.
4-day program
Headquarters.
at headquarters, and they introduce them to amateur radio and how to bring amateur radio into your STEM curriculum, doing projects such as Arduinos, Raspberry Pi, some various sensors, stuff that's going to bring the kids in, and then, oh yeah, by the way, here's ham radio.
In fact, one of the things that we had to do was design a lesson for our classroom. And one of the lessons I did was fox hunting, because I teach environmental science, and they basically use that to track animals in the wild. So
Awesome.
that's one of the
We definitely need to talk afterwards.
Transmitter on the squirrel.
So the future of bringing students back into the radio starts at the Teachers Institute of Wireless Technology.
Well, the DIY was an effort to combine, and the 3D printing we were talking
Well, absolutely. So have you been through only one session?
Yes, I did TI1.
So there's, I think, up to four different TI groups right now. So there's various levels of it, and they're working on a fifth, which is cybersecurity. How they're going to interface that into amateur radio, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure if there needs to be a large interface between amateur radio and cybersecurity, because it's kind of the future. So in building TI, these teachers are going into the classroom and they're introducing ham radio to their students. But they can only do so much because there's going to be some after-school activities. There's going to be some weekend activities. they're going to need to turn to a club. They're going to need to turn to a strong club. And that's what I'd like everybody to work on, is building the future of amateur radio, building the future of the American Radio Relay League starts here at your club. It starts building blocks right here. You need to have a really great club. You need to have great interface with the public. And it all starts right here as club members. We need to all get together and we need to build together. Lend a hand. You know, I know a lot of clubs are always looking for help. They're looking for volunteers. Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Jump on in, because you might be changing the impression of the public to amateur radio by what you do to contribute.
People say, do you still do it, or
Oh,
what is it? And I'm just
no, absolutely.
talking to people when I mentioned, what's that? They might know CB from years ago.
Yeah, well, CB's
Gone.
different. It's not gone. It's still live.
Skip.
There's still a lot of people doing CB, but amateur radio, this is where all the smart people hang out. Somehow I was able to slide in. I'm not sure how it happened, but it happened.
People did
So,
for years, they say.
but truckers aren't even using CBs anymore. So I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. As a good ham radio operator, and most of us, I have some sort of an ADD issue, probably undiagnosed, and I wasn't really the class clown growing up. I had ADD. Let's go back to the library. So we were out there at the library, and we got 5 new members in, and the librarian was so fascinated with amateur radio, because I always heard about it, but I never met anybody that was able to explain it the way that your club explained it. She's like, I'd like to have you back out. So like a month later, they had it was like a sci-fi festival. They call it Masticon. It was a little science fiction conference that they had on May the 4th. For the nerds in the room, that's Star Wars Day. So they invited the Star Wars, the local Star Wars group, the 501 Legion, and a bunch of people walking around, the stormtroopers, and somebody brought their homemade R2-D2, and then there was the Ham Radio Club. And we did what we do best. We were talking to the public. Same thing. We weren't sitting there playing radio. We were playing public relations officers, and it's a very, very important part of amateur radio as well. And they were very impressed by that too, because we had a nonstop crowd around our table just listening to what was going on in the world. Where did we go? Oh, the librarian loved us even more at that point. She said, hey, will you come and will you teach a class on amateur radio? I said, well, I'm not going to teach an amateur radio class to get people their license, but I'll do an introductory class, and I'll introduce people to amateur radio. And they booked us for a Thursday night, and I had a small team of fellow club members with me, and we had about 9 people from the community showed up. And we just did an introduction to amateur radio, nothing extremely technical. There's a nice slide deck that the ARRL has out there that you can use. And we did an introduction. We told them what amateur radio was all about. Some people in the room already knew about ham radio. They didn't know where to start. So from that meeting, we got 3 new hams, 2 new club members out of it. One of the hams that was there was a snowbird. So he didn't join our club because he spends most of his time down in Florida. So public relations. We had such a great relationship with the library. We decided as a club we wanted to give back to them. The ARRL has what's called the library book program. For a donation of $250 from your club can purchase a 14-volume set of ham radio books to donate to the local library. I kind of think they may give you that whole set in TI.
Yep.
So,
I don't know if it's that exact set, but yeah.
So you get a handbook, an antenna book, you get all the study manuals, you get the operating manual. It's like 13 volume set. We donated that to the library. The librarian called me up and she was beyond excited that we gave them this library book set, because it was probably about a $600 value. And what she did, she said, she made an offer. She said, hey, would you be okay if we put a little plaque in the front of every book saying that, hey, if you need more information on amateur radio, to contact your club? And that's what they did. So we got some really good publicity from that as well, because that library set is in county circulation. So now we're getting people interested in radio from some of the other areas on Long Island that we don't really have a touch with. And some of the other radio clubs are finding out that we did that, and they're like, I went to the library and whatever. I saw your library book there. Why are you in, a library 40 miles away from, where you're supposed to be? So, but anyway, build a relationship here. It's great. It's great that they're giving you space. And I'm also happy to say that the librarian invited us back this year for MasterCon, which was in May. And I just booked in a date with them in November. I'll be doing a presentation on an introduction to wireless communications, and we're going to touch on some stuff. We're going to touch on ham radio, GMRS radio, Meshtastic, and some of the other things that are floating throughout the airwaves that might attract some of the younger generation Bluetooth and wireless signal hunting. So that's what we've been doing. We've been reaching out to some ham adjacent hobbies. We've been reaching out to our local Linux users group, and we did presentations for them. Linux is a very complicated, not Windows, not Mac OS operating system that a lot of really smart, nerdy people operate in. We went down to the Linux users group, and there was, I think, 10 hams within the Linux group that had bad experiences previously with radio clubs, and we wound up getting about 3 or 4 of them. We also reached out into the maker world. Maker Fair is used to be a really big group down in the New York City area, and they put together at the Queens Hall of Science, they put together a big Maker Fair back in the day. And that drew about 10,000 people or so. But now they have them smaller regional areas. There's still a big one out in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and that was just a couple of weeks ago. But we reached out to our local maker group, or actually our local maker group kind of reached out to us. They were looking for a ham radio club for their Maker Fair last year. So we were a last minute addition, and we showed up, and they gave us a really good spot. They gave us a really huge spot right where the people come in to buy your tickets. So we had a 10 by 20 tent, same type of setup. We had 4 tables set up, radios on it to the back. We had people there talking about radio. We had the low end of 20 meters going. We just had Morse code going, and people passing by. And it was either the old timer who stopped and remembered hearing Morse code back when he was in the service, or it was the young person who wanted to know what video game we were playing because they weren't really sure about that. So we drew a lot of people in just by listening. So as they came into our booth, we were able to talk to them about ham radio. And we kind of had a little bit of progression of HF, VHF, UHF, some emergency communications, because we also host a local ARRL group. And then at the end of the table, we had some 3D printed stuff. Anybody here own a 3D printer?
Mike N2HTT.
Yeah, good. 3D printing.
Stuff he sells.
Yeah, 3D printing is a great adjacent hobby to amateur radio. There's a lot of overlap between the hobbies. You can build a lot of stuff. If you're into antenna building, you can 3D print a lot of your pieces. So at the end of the table, we had these little business cards that were 3D printed. One was the Morse code alphabet, and the other one was a phonetics card. And we had a key set up, and we had somebody down at the end of the table who was helping the kids tap out their name in Morse code. Then they come down and they see the phonetics card, and the one kid's like, "Can I say foxtrot?" It's like, I heard foxtrot in a video game. I thought it was a bad word. So then we had the kids. They were sounding their name out in phonetics, and it was really cool. And the parents were like, "Wow, I'd never seen him so enthusiastic about stuff." So I guess it's just a matter of how we present ourselves as a club, of how we build ourselves, on how we promote the hobby and be good stewards of the hobby. I mentioned the word public relations a lot in my babbling. Is anybody here a public relations officer for the ARRL? All right, let's. Who's an ARRL member? Well, thank you for your support.
I've been over 50 years.
Who's a lifetime member? Anybody? Okay.
Almost a
Well, thank you for your support. The one of the programs that the ARRL offers is the public relations course, and it's free to ARRL members. It's an online course. You banged it out in a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours. It's just kind of a basis of how do you reach out to media, how do you reach out to folks. A lot of it is emergency communications based, but a lot of it's just some really good knowledge on how to start a PR team. So, maybe look into that and see if anybody's interested in doing that for the club. Anybody can take the course, but to be appointed a section-based public information officer is based on the appointment of the section manager. So I highly suggest somebody does it, somebody to help out with that. And if you need more information, feel free to reach out to me. And if you need somebody appointed, I'll make sure that John Fritz takes care of that.
They send out packets, so I get a packet that gives me all of the information from the ARRL for field day, or for like the open house that came out. And it's like a pre-made packet, so you don't have to sit there and figure out how to put everything together. It's all right there for you if you want it. So it's super helpful.
And for a lot of the larger events like World Amateur Radio Day, which is April 18th, and Field Day, they'll actually have a Zoom meeting where you can come on. And if you can't make the live Zoom meeting, they'll send you links to it. So it's a really great asset for the club, and it'll definitely help build the publicity part of the club. If there's a maker group up here, maybe look into interacting with them. Does this library have a maker space? Do they have 3D printers and stuff here?
We actually help them with that. Like Ray said, one of our members is highly involved in 3D printing, and he advised them as to what sort of system would work well for this space.
That's great. I mean, the next step is getting an antenna build going that requires 3D printed parts.
We've done a project like that in the past with the 2-meter ground plane.
Awesome. Okay. So
There was something at Barnes and Noble some years ago where they showed 3D printers. We were involved or something. I remember.
I think at one point Barnes and Noble was selling like a MakerBot 3D printer or something like that, but that was way back there. So what I'm saying is we need to be better hams. We want to keep this hobby going. We want to keep this obsession growing. We have to just keep up our public image and go out there and do really great things and be that welcoming face when you're out there and when you have some public service events coming up. People are going to look at you really weird because you're wearing an orange vest and you have some radio, and talk to them about radio. Carry a little flyer with information about the club. Welcome the new people into the club, and that's something else that we were doing too. We're welcoming in members of the club into the club that aren't hams. I know a lot of clubs that I visited, you have to be a ham radio operator to join the club, which I thought was a really weird thing. But we had at one point, we had 12 members that were non-hams, and I think they're all licensed now. And it was just because of the encouragement of the club of what we were doing to help out. And
so what encouraged the non-licensed people to join? What was the motivation?
Coming to a meeting and being welcomed and not being looked at funny. And even the newer hams coming to a meeting with where's my radio? Coming to a meeting with this, coming to a meeting with a little Baofeng radio and not getting yelled at for having a Baofeng. I went to a club meeting in New Jersey. I went to an open house to a club in New Jersey. And there was this college-age student there, 21, 22 years old, and he's showing off his new Zygu G90 HF radio, 20 watts, built-in tuner. The tuner can tune a chain link fence. Great little radio, under $500. Nice little starter HF radio. You don't have to break the bank to get it. And he's showing off the radio, and he's at a table, and he's so proud of his radio. And one of these cranky contesters came over to him and said, "That's a piece of garbage. Get a real radio." And the guy walked away, and I'm like, "I need to go talk to you." I said, "Come back here. Let's have this discussion. You walked away. Let's talk about this. Why is this a crappy radio?" "Well, it's not an ICOM 7300. "Does it have to be an ICOM?" "Well, that's a real radio." And the kid's like, "Well, first of all, I have an ICOM 7300 at home. This is the radio that I do soda and POTA with. Why would I carry my $1,200 radio around when this thing does the job?" And the guy's like, "Well, you're going to get crappy signal reports. You're not going to win a contest with 20 watts. And he just kind of stormed off. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you discourage a new ham? Why would you discourage a person that we want to bring into the hobby? We want to build our numbers. So that 30 to 55-year-old person who's got a life, who's got 2 kids, who has very little time to invest in the hobby, but still has some interest in it. So now he's got to convince his wife why he's going to go out and spend $700 on the new Kenwood D75 radio for a hobby which he may not actually enjoy. He may not be welcome to. He may not find the right club to bring him into. Where he can go to Amazon and he can go buy this for $25 and it gets delivered the next day.
Better.
He's going to wake up the next morning and he's going to have this radio in his hand. Why are we not encouraging this? Why are we not encouraging these radios for people like Elliot who are new to the hobby and who's a student? Teachers Institute, you walk out of there with a Yaesu FT70 because Teachers Institute, they have a Yaesu Fusion Teachers Net. I'm not sure if it actually took off yet. It's supposed to connect the classrooms throughout the country. It's a work in progress is what Jasper just told me. But they also walk out with a Woxin radio. Or Quashang. Quashang? Woxin? So it's the Redovish version because that was a few dollars cheaper. And
Because you can reprogram the firmware.
yep. Anybody familiar with that Quashang or the Redovish version of it? It's another Baofeng-like radio, except there are people out there doing really cool things and they're creating open source firmware
Wasn't there
for that radio.
a thing giving you a rate?
QRZ still has a radio program for new hams. No worries. But this Quashang radio, it promotes exploration of RF, of firmware, of computers. It's kind of like the little gateway drug for, I think the Redovis radios, at one point you can get them for under $20. And they were writing custom firmware for the radio, making the radio do things it wasn't meant to do. One of the firmware programs, you do a key combination and now it's a frequency counter. And you see what frequency is operating around you. I'm very involved with the high school in Staten Island Technical High School. The teacher down there, Everton Henriquez, KD2ZZT. In the last 16 months, Everton has licensed 423 students. At some point, we had 26% of the student population was a licensed ham. Are they all active? No. But a lot of them are. A lot of them are doing cool things. I get to hang out at that school and I'll go there and I'll help them out a lot. And the one day I walked into the classroom and ham radio operator, I can't think of her call sign. Her name is Nicole. She's sitting at the table and she's got her Baofeng taken apart. And I'm like, Nicole, what are you doing? She goes, I'm blinging out my Baofeng. She removed the case. She went down to the art department. She sprayed it lavender. And she put rhinestones all over it. And it's her radio. And she carries that radio with her everywhere. It's a talking piece for her. So there's nothing wrong with having a $20 radio. It's bringing out people that are interested in it. It's bringing out the youth. If they want to take it and they want to bling it out, let them do it. They're having fun with it. Over there in Staten Island, have you guys met Everton? I think he's going to be doing one of the future TI modules. He's their robotics coach and he does C-Perch with them. So one of the requirements to be on his robotics team or his C-Perch team, C-Perch is a remote controlled underwater rover type of thing that they build. It's tethered. And I think it started as a Navy project. Navy and DARPA was trying to improve their technologies. So they threw it out to the high schools and colleges and they made this C-Perch program. So in order to be part of his C-Perch or robotics team, you need to be a ham. And you need to be an extra at that. And the reason he does that is because it gives them a great foundation for electronics and electrical work that they're going to be doing in building these robots and stuff. So he kind of got a little sneaky there and helped build up his numbers. But it seems to be working. The kids are really doing great at it. I had the privilege of presenting one of their kids in January with a $20,000 scholarship check to RIT up in Rochester. The ARRL, we give out somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million worth of scholarships every year to high school and college students. So, and it's thanks to the support of members like you in this room who actually support the ARRL and the projects that we do. But I don't think I really need to give you guys any more encouragement about building the club because I think you have all the foundation there.
We got Lou.
And we got Lou.
Got Lou. He's
We appreciate that. I just want to tell everybody continue to be good hams. Go out there and promote this obsession, hobby, service, whatever you want to call it.
A comment on ham radio license classes versus introduction courses and having individuals guiding them toward self-study is something you...
So yeah, I could definitely touch on that, and that's one of the ways that we also were growing with things. One of the other tasks that Nicole got suckered into was putting together a study list of where do you see yourself as a learner, where do you see yourself technically, and maybe you should start here or there for study ideas, and links to various books, whether it's the Gordon West book, the ARRL book, some videos. There's a really great book by a guy named Michael Burnett out in the state of Washington area. It's called The Fast Track to Your Tech, General, or Extra Class. Michael wrote the book for his wife, not because she wasn't technical or not because she wasn't smart. She was a school teacher, but it broke it down to simpler terms and it didn't need to be overly technical. So Michael wrote this whole series of books, and I used it to study for my general. You used it to study for all three of yours. And in addition to that, Michael also has an audio book that's available through Audible from Amazon that you're able to work along with.
How does that work, Nicole? If I'm unlicensed and I were to contact you, I would tell you how I study and you would tell me what to buy?
So usually what happens is people that we're meeting at like an event, like we're at a maker fair or something, and we have a guest log, and anyone who's interested, I always tell them put an asterisk next to your name. After our events, I go through the entire list, and everybody on my list gets a thank you email that says, thank you for visiting us. In case you're interested, here's our club information, blah, blah, blah. The people that leave an asterisk, every single one of them gets an individual email from me, and I have a set format for that email that'll say, hey, you expressed interest in getting your license or furthering your license. Here's my list of best breakdown. Because I was non-technical. I'm a non-technical person. So Michael Burnett was the way. He spent 3 years trying to bribe me to take a test. That was how he actually wore me down, was with the Michael Burnett books. Because the rest of them, like, I'm not reading a textbook. I'm not interested. Those books read like going to the library and picking up a romance novel. It's that simple of a read for any average person who's like, I'm not sure I really want to do this. His books will do that. And then when you do his Audible, he'll just lull you to sleep. I was listening to my husband.
Not in a bad way.
His stuff.
Michael has a great voice.
He has an excellent voice.
He's a truck. I think he was a truck driver by trade.
Yeah. So all of them will get that email from me. I would say 90% of the people who email me will email me back a thank you. And they usually will tell me which set of books they chose to pick. So I'll give them the breakdown. Like Gordon West is more technical than like Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course, who has really great online study.
Yeah.
And then you have examstudy.org, which is where everybody's using their exam tools stuff from. They've come out with a book as well. Their book is actually very interesting. It wasn't available when I was originally studying, but it's become something I recommend for people because it's illustrated. So for people who are younger, there's pictures and it's a little bit more dynamic for them as opposed to opening a book that's just straight words. Because it can be very daunting to open a book and you just see columns of words and formulas and pictures. This is like colorful. It's like almost a little cartoonish. It's just like the rest of their stuff. So it makes it a little bit more inviting. And a lot of people have had really, really good results with it. When we were at Dayton, they had books available. I tried to buy them from them and they wouldn't sell them to me. I'm like, come on, give them to me. So we would have had them on hand at, at the club. And then like you have Gordon West, you have Dan, KB6 and you, who has a great Tech in a Day course with a book that goes with that as well, which is a quick study guide for people who are like more technically sound or coming from some kind of engineering background that want to do it and can literally read through that in a couple of hours, sit down and take a test. So I try to break it down for everybody. And then you can pick and choose which one looks the least daunting, including the links on the bottom. And like I said, probably about 90 to 95% of the people will usually email me back and say, hey, thank you so much for this. And then we find them within a month scheduling their test to actually sit down and take it.
So one of the other communities that it started out not being a Suffolk County Radio Club grouping was myself and a couple other close friends, and she got suckered into it again, was we're members of the hacker community. If anybody in this room thinks hacker is a bad word, you're misinformed. Because us as amateur radio operators, we're the original hackers and makers. And I had one young non-ham come up to me at a hacker conference and said, ham, that stands for hackers and makers, right? And I said, no, but yes, absolutely. It absolutely does, because that spark gap radio that you might see up in Newington in the lobby of W1AW, that doesn't say Baofeng on the side, doesn't say ICOM on the side, that was hacked together and it was made. So we are the originals. If you talk to anybody at MIT, they may have a different definition of hackers. Hackers, that terminology started with model railroad enthusiasts. So, but we've become involved with the hacker community, going around demonstrating amateur radio at the hacker communities. Not that I really need to demonstrate it, because there's a lot of hams in the hacker community. There's a lot of the younger group of people that are in that community. There are a lot of older people who say ham radio is dead. There's no youth involved in ham radio. And I tell them that they're very much misinformed. That group of people, they look at the ham radio, the amateur radio license, as a license to explore and tinker and to get into RF. So it's a great basis for them to explore RF, because RF is all around us. One of our most active members of our radio club, who was a member of our radio club before he was a ham, and this weekend coming up will be his 1-year anniversary of becoming a ham. I got him from the hacker community. I saw his social media post. He does a lot of stuff with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth exploration. I saw he was local to him, so I kind of reached out to him and I sent him a message, and he thought it was really weird and creepy that a grown man was sending another grown man a message on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And he did some background investigation on me and saw I was only a little bit weird. And we wound up meeting for pizza, and we hit it off and had a great relationship. And I talked him into coming down to the club, and he's like, yeah, I'll come down. I'll check out the club. I never want to be a ham because you guys are weird. You smell funny. You're a bunch of old people. I don't want nothing to do with it. And he came down to the meeting and he said, take my money. He said, Nicole, how do I study for this? I want to be a part of this community. I want to be a part of your community that you guys are building. And Nicole gave him some information. And it just so happened that we were going to be at a hacker conference 2 months from that date. And it's coming up. We'll be there this coming week. It's called JohnCon. It's a hacker conference in Philadelphia. It's a very small conference. And we're there helping out with the ham radio village. When you go to these hacker conferences, they have villages. So all different groups have their own little village. So we've been helping out. This will probably be our 6th village that we're helping to run. The last one that we did was in August at St. John's University. It was a gathering called Hope, Hackers on Planet Earth. It's from 2600 Magazine. 2600 Magazine's a hacker magazine that's been around 40 plus years. It started as a photocopied paper that hackers would pass along to them, and you sent in a self-addressed stamped envelope and they'd send you a copy of it in the mail. So we did it last year. Nicole mentioned KB6NU. KB6NU is probably about a 78-year-old, grumpy old, 5'3", cranky guy from Michigan who travels the United States going to hacker conferences, teaching ham radio in a day courses. His technician book can be found on kb6nu.com. He offers a free tech book as a PDF for a download, or if you want a paper copy of it, you can buy it from him or from Amazon. So you look at him and you're like, this guy doesn't relate to our mission statement about growing the hobby, about bringing the younger people in. He's been DEF CON the last 2 years. DEF CON's the largest hacker conference in the United States, maybe the second largest in the world. It's August every year in Vegas, like I said. This year we licensed 450 some odd people at DEF CON, 450 brand new licenses. Dan runs his Ham in a Day course there the day before DEF CON begins. And people usually use his book to study, to go there. It's a badge of honor to get your ham radio ticket at DEF CON. Sort of like it is for people on the East Coast who've been around the 2600 magazine and the Hope group for many years. It's a badge of honor to get your license at Hope. So last year, Dan got himself a grant from the ARDC, and the ARDC gave Dan something like $20,000 to go around to different hacker conferences and maker conferences and kind of ham adjacent hobby conferences where he might be able to spread the word about amateur radio. And he decided he wanted to come to the East Coast last year. Last summer, he did Hope Hackers on Planet Earth at St. John's University, and we were able to support him in his mission of teaching the class. He teaches his Ham in a Day course in somewhere around between 6 and 7 hours. Based on his study material, he's got a 93% passing rate. Hackers on Planet Earth this year was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Dan was coming back out. Unfortunately, because of scheduling, it was the week after DEF CON. Thursday morning before Dan was supposed to fly out, 4 a.m., he texted me. He goes, I'm going to have to cancel. I'm not going to be able to make it. I caught something in DEF CON. So I brought it to the group, and I said, hey, we're probably going to have to cancel. We'll still run the testing session. We'll still run the VE session, but we're not going to be able to do Ham in a Day because Dan backed out. And somebody stepped up, and that person was Dustin. Dustin's the club member that I said I got off of social media. He stepped up and he said, oh, I'll do it. And he got his license through Dan's method. So he stepped up and again, he reached out to Nicole and he said, I can't do it by myself. Can you help me? And Dan's been bugging Nicole for the last year and a half to do the Ham in a Day course. So we got Dustin and Nicole to come together, and they decided they've never taught a class before. They were going to use Dan's materials and they were going to teach the class. The very last minute, got a brand new ham, 21 years old. He's a member of another club that I'm a member of on Long Island, who they don't appreciate this 21-year-old kid. They were bragging that we got a college kid in the class, in our club. When some of the old timers in the club found out he likes FT8, they discouraged him and they told him, FT8's not real ham radio, kid. I go to a club meeting and he's by himself sitting in front of the room during the presentation. The meeting's over, everybody breaks into their little groups. I stand up, I start talking to people, and I see that he's still by himself and he's kind of looking around with his hands in his pockets and nobody's talking to him. The club leadership is broken off and they're doing whatever they do in their little secret room. So I go over and I start talking to him. I introduce myself to him. I tell him I'm a fellow member of this certain radio club, and I tell him that I'm the division director. I welcome him to amateur radio. If there's anything you need with ham radio, please reach out to me. Whatever I can do to help make your journey in amateur radio better, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bend over backwards and I'm going to do it for you. As soon as they saw me talking to him, the club vice president, the club secretary came running out of the back room and they surrounded me. And I thought they were trying to steal my wallet or something like that. And they said, Ed, you're not going to steal him from us. And I went, what? You're not going to steal him for your club. I said, this is my club. I'm a member here as well. Yeah, but we know how you are. I said, okay. I said, but I promise you, I'm not going to steal him. He's going to come willingly. So we had an opportunity. We had an extra ticket to the hacker conference. It's $250 for 3 days. I called up our young new ham, Daniel. W2 DIY is his new vanity call sign. Licensed 4 months. Got his extra within 4 months of being licensed. I said, Daniel, I have an opportunity for you. I said, would you like to come out to the hacker conference and help us with ham radio? We're going to do a whole ham radio demonstration. We're going to be doing some really cool things. And he said, When is it? I told him. He goes, He said, I'm sorry, I can't. He said, I promised the other radio club that I was going to help him with Lighthouse Weekend. I said, okay, no problem. I said, if something happens, if it gets rained out, I have that ticket for you. Hangs up the phone. He calls me back 3 minutes later. And he goes, I'm stupid. He goes, yeah, I'm coming to a hacker conference. He goes, those guys don't appreciate me. They think FT8's fake radio. I'm coming to hang out with you, Ed. So he came down and he was so enthusiastic about being there and seeing all the hams his age and seeing all the hams doing things that he never experienced being with this club, like slow scan TV. The hacker community is really big on slow scan TV. And they were sending memes back and forth to one another. And he was getting a kick out of this. And he's like, this is amazing. I don't know why I haven't been here before. So I said, you know what? I said, how would you like help teach Nicole and Dustin? How would you like to help them teach the course? And he's like, I'm a new ham. I said, and? I said, it's all fresh in your mind, buddy. So the three of them, they wound up teaching the ham in a day course. None of the three have ever taught before. They had 22 people sitting in the class. 22 people passed. We wound up licensing 28 people that weekend at the conference as well. So you kind of got to be open up to what's out there, what you can do. So there's two different ways. If you want to do a ham course for the community, you can break it up and you can do it over 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, or you can see if the library would give you this for a weekend. Maybe do that ham in a day course, maybe 2 4-hour sessions on a Saturday and a Sunday, or something like that. And I have a slide deck that goes along with that particular study group, with KB6NU's book, and that slide deck was prepared by Alan Wolke. Anybody know that name? W2AEW.
Yes.
Alan's got he works for Tektronix, I think. He's got a huge YouTube channel about test equipment. He's really big into test equipment. So Alan actually uses KB6NU's material for his ham in a day course that he does at the Vintage Computer Festival in New Jersey every year. So
Whatever you want, I'll give it to you.
Thanks.
Farm me down.
I'm just curious what the results, what you've seen results with and what's effective. I mean, I've seen other groups with these very prolonged courses and people sort of lose interest halfway through the course and week after week after week and going nowhere. I know that there are cram sessions locally and then there's a lot of chatter like, oh, well, they're never going to learn anything. They'll never get active after a cram session. So
but
I think there has to be some sort of happy medium.
So I did a course with the other club he was talking about before when I started my tech, and it was every week, but it would have been like 9 weeks, and I have a job, you know, I have a job, I have responsibilities, I have a home life, I have a husband, yada, 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 yada. If I had known about the ham in a day course, it might have been easier. I do believe that a lot of people, when they say you learn more hands-on, you do. So it really is going to be a know your audience situation. I think some people might appreciate a once-a-week class, but a 2-day cram session or a 1-day cram session, I think, has better results because people retain, they're able to make that time. So it's just like everyone here. We all know Hamfests are like car swap meets. The wife says you have until 11 o'clock and then your butt needs to be home because you have your honey-do list. So everyone shows up at 6:30. You're all there until 10:45 and then everybody goes. But everybody's able to make that time. So if you have like a weekend set, it's a little bit easier to retain those people, to get them to come and to sit and to do 4 hours or 6 hours in a 2-day span than it is to get them to continuously come. Because like for me, I was there I did probably the first like 4 weeks of the tech course with them. And then I'm like, this is just, it gets in the way. Something comes up. It's a Tuesday night. It's bad weather. It's this, it's that. And I ended up just studying on my own with the Michael Burnett stuff and doing it myself. And then did the same for the rest of my courses. So I think overall with everything that we've seen, the shorter, more compact has a better like retain rate of people who are going to study and pass the test as opposed to the continuous ongoing. When it comes to something like an extra class, that's a different story. It's way more complicated. It's way more intricate. We're with our club ourselves and the people that have been interested in teaching, we're trying to figure out a way to make it more efficient for the people that do want to take that extra. I took mine and I took it once. There are guys in our club who have taken it 15 times and still haven't passed. We're trying to figure out what the hang up is so that we can focus our study class on that hang up. Like, what is it? Is it Smith charts? Is it the graphing? Is it the math? What is it? So that way we can take the class, and instead of making it a torturous class of a reminder of everything in your general and your tech, the stuff that you're gonna need to know that's hanging you up every time you get into that test. So those, general extra, yeah, you might need a little prolonged, but for the tech, it's definitely better to do like a day or a 2-day thing.
And no, it's all good. And then Lou, one of the other things you have to look at is who's your instructor going to be? Those that tend to volunteer to do I want to do a 12-week introduction to tech class. They're very smart, intelligent people. They're also very dry people. They don't attract and gain the attention of their audience. The people that are crazy enough to try and do the tech in a day course are usually the more enthusiastic, a little bit on the younger side, looking to have fun with ham radio, to make ham radio a fun experience, not being sad hams. So you kind of have to see where you want to go with this. Maybe you look into doing a tech in a day course, but you try and block out 2 days. Maybe the tech in a day course, you throw a price tag on it and you say, hey, $50, tech in a day weekend. You're going to leave here. You're going to have your testing fee paid. You're going to have a lunch provided to you, and you're going to get a Baofeng radio. After you take your test, we're going to do a 2-hour crash course into proper radio etiquette on the VHF, UHF bands. We're going to show you how to program this thing. So it's kind of an immersive weekend experience. Buy a couple pizzas or see if you can get like a local deli to make up some boxed lunches or something like that. But you can definitely make it a wonderful experience. And the people coming through the class aren't going to feel like they were bombarded and overwhelmed with overly technical stuff. Because in my opinion, being a tech, it's all about having fun. It's about learning the hobby. You take it where you want to take it from there. You want to jump into it, and you want to get all technical, and you want to build your own Class A amplifiers, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. That's your road to take. But be the support group for those who want to go in and at least have fun with doing it and enjoy the hobby and continue it, and they can have a place where they can come back to and say, I know if I have a problem, I can go ask Lou a question, and Lou's not going to look at me for being stupid about it. And Lou's not going to look down at me and say, hey, you're a tech, you should know that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can handle that. You need any help, feel free to reach out to Nicole, me, and we'll definitely help you.
I can't thank you both enough for the assistance you provided with the exam tools. All our test sessions are now electronic. So.
Awesome.
That's all her. We just 3 or 4 months ago, we finally went to testing all on tablets. We fought some of the old timers about it, and they either continued to be VEs with us and learn a new system, or they decided that they would just hang out with their wife and get yelled at watching TV on our first Thursday of the month when we test. So lots of things have changed in amateur radio since the both of you gentlemen have been licensed. We don't have to go down to Manhattan anymore to take our test.
The tech in a way is what the novice used to be.
Right.
Because there you were more into HF, not repeaters. And it was 1 year, and then they made it 10, now it's gone and expiring. And I went in office tech, the general was at the FCC in Varick still. I went to the 640 Washington and took the general once.
You're a lot older than you look. I was just going somewhere with So one of the things that we're doing with club activities, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place and I'm really not crazy. I just need to be medicated and I probably choose not to be to keep my thoughts straight. One of the other things we're doing as a club, and I mentioned you're having a club breakfast coming up.
Yeah.
Great event. We at some point we had more people coming to our club breakfast than we did to our club meetings because hams like to eat. But that's another story. But now our club meetings, we've been getting like 60 people at a meeting, 60 out of our 140 something people, which is a really great average, I think.
Dinner too in December.
We've been doing a holiday dinner. We decided we took away from the president. We don't really need to eat his wife's bad cooking and spend $35 on his wife's bad cooking. Well, we could, go to a restaurant and get a decent meal for that much money. So one of the other things that we started doing, and I took this idea from a radio club that I belong to up in Warrens County, which is up near Lake George. And I joined this radio club, and I'm not going to attend any of their meetings, but they have a really great club. Warren County Amateur Radio Club. Their club president's 30 years old. The vice president's 22 years old. These guys have stepped up and doing really amazing things up in the North Country up there. They stepped up and they reached out to RPI. The RPI kids were trying to rebuild their radio club. And these guys drove 45 miles down to RPI, and they help RPI at every single event that they do. They just do really great things up there. Adam is the president of the club up there, KD2YFY. Adam's the 30-year-old. I met Adam years ago with a side project I was involved with, an open source ham radio project I was involved with. And Adam had really great enthusiasm. And when I became the vice director, I said, hey, I want to drive up and I want to meet Adam in person. And this is a great excuse. I can go up, I can meet the club, our furthest north club. And I met Adam, and Adam was just a club member, but at the time, and he had such great enthusiasm. And he was helping out a lot of the older hams with things. Adam has an IT background. And Adam said, well, one of the things that I've been helping them out with is computer issues. They're mentoring me in amateur radio, and I'm helping them out with computer issues. So I think that was a great mixture. But fast forward, Adam becomes the president of the club, and that's when I joined because I received their newsletters and I see all the great things that Adam does. Speaking of newsletters, you guys have a great newsletter, so keep up the great work on that. Great job. And I see they're having an ice cream social, and I'm like, this is a great idea. They're meeting for ice cream the first Thursday of the month throughout the summer from April to September, October or so. I said, hey, maybe we should try this. And I looked around and I said, we don't have an ice cream location, like little mom and pop ice cream shops like they do up there with a large parking lot. I said, what are we going to do? Our club sign is Whiskey 2 Delta Quebec. Went to Dairy Queen. What did we do? We got a brand new Dairy Queen in the area on Long Island, and we had our first ice cream social at Dairy Queen. And I lie. Nicole made up a really cool logo of the Dairy Queen logo with the club call sign, and I had some stickers made up. And we decided that we were going to have an ice cream social net. We were meeting at 6:30. Net time starts at 6 o'clock. We got Dustin, who's our new enthusiastic ham, who's 40-something years old, as our net control. Dustin is very joyful on the radio. He's very excited. He makes conversation. He brings out conversation in people. He's very happy when he's talking on the radio. He is so happy when he talks on the radio, the sad hams get mad at it, how enthusiastic Dustin is. I got pulled aside by a member of the Lockfield Club, who mentioned Lockfield before. I got pulled aside by one of those guys and said, it's not cute. I said, what are you talking about? It's not cute. Your ice cream social net. I said, well, why isn't it cute? He goes, who cares if you like vanilla or chocolate ice cream? Why are you polling the people what kind of ice cream they're going to get when you order? I said, thank you for listening to our repeater, since there's no activity on your repeater. So thank you. And he's like, well, that's not what ham radio is all about. I said, ham radio is not about having fun. Ham radio is not about having people listening to us and saying, who is this group? Because I still scan. If I'm in a new area, I'm scanning repeaters. I want to know what's going on out there, and there's a lot of crickets out there on the machine. So if I'm stopping and I'm hearing a club repeater and they're meeting for ice cream, I'm going to show up.
We had that guy show up.
We had a few people show up, random people that weren't hams, that were just scanner listeners, showed up and said, I hope it's okay that I showed up. We heard you on the scanner, and you guys are having fun. So we had somebody complaining that our repeater was being used. We had a net control operator that was doing a great job, and we had 45 check-ins for an ice cream net. So
The cone of influence.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. So I can talk forever and forever and forever and probably not make a lot of sense to a lot of people. So I'm going to stop. I will take any questions that you might have
Thank you.
about anything amateur radio related, ARRL related, building a community, pistachio, in case anybody was wondering. Pistachio.
Mint chocolate chip.
Yeah. So, but we're engaging people. We're building that community. The younger generation wants a community. They want something that they can relate to. But that's not really why I'm here tonight. I'm here to present Jay with an award. Jay has had numerous pieces published in QST magazine. And Jay got the cover plaque award for his last article that he wrote this past year. And normally, these are mailed out to the recipient. But I reached out to Jay and I congratulated him and I asked him if he would like it mailed to him or if he wanted me to stop by and bring it. You know, and Jay said he was a member of the club up here and I haven't been up here. So I am proud to present the QST Cover Plaque Award for the article entitled Turn Your Vertical Antenna into a Rotatable Beam by Jay Kalinsky, NE2Q, voted Best Article, April of 2025. It is my honor and pleasure to present it to you, Jay. Congratulations. I think we're going to take some pictures back here.
Oh, let's get some more butter. Want me to shake my hand here?
I guess I can shake your hand, Jay. I can do that for you, buddy.
I
So-
don't charge much.
No? All right. I don't charge much for an autograph. I'll autograph the back of that for you later. So, Jay, thank you for your contributions to amateur radio over the 85 years or so that you've been licensed, I think you said? 67. I was close.
67.
So thank you very much for your contributions and your technical background. And I'm sure it's appreciated here in the club and within the community of Eastern New York. So thank you very much. With that, if you don't have any other questions for me or any comments or anything, I'm going to thank you for having me out here. You have a question?
Just one, after we close,
Yes.
talk about college scholarships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can talk all about college scholarships. So thank you for your support of the club. Thank you for your support of amateur radio. And the future of amateur radio is built right here within this room, within the club. Having a strong club is going to build that community, is going to help build the ranks of amateur radio. Reach out, do that class. You want help with it? I'll be more than happy to come up and bring Nicole. I'll drive Nicole and she can help you with it. But anything I can do to help the club in any way, please feel free to reach out. If anybody wants my information, you can see me after the meeting. And thank you very much. Thank you.